Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you so much for joining me here today. Or in the immortal words of Andy Hunter from Adricos, welcome to the program, welcome to the show. I am your host, Mark Goldberg. Again, thank you for joining me. I don't know, I find myself frequently remembering the dearly departed YouTubers who came, at the same time or before me and are gone. I mean, why are we losing guys? It's no fun. So let's. I don't know, guys. I know it looks like Kool-Aid, but it's actually a highly alcoholic Negroni. It's the second of the evening, and I'm gonna wait a minute till you guys prepare your old fashioned. I'm a gin girl, but most of you seem to be bourbon boys. But prepare whatever it is that you imbibe, whether it be Diet Pepsi, Mountain Dew, a Negroni, an old fashioned, whatever it happens to be. And in a little while, we'll give a toast to the dearly departed, which includes Blue Shirt Buddha and Andy Hunter. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the show. Who am I forgetting? Who has passed on and gone on to the great Rolex authorized dealer in the sky? Guys, if you are joining us live, thank you for being here. If you are watching this after it is posted up, there is a topic we are going to be talking about whether or not Rolex. I told you I was already one Negroni in. We'll be talking about whether or not Rolex is still a tool watch, or whether it's just become a luxury bauble. So we will get there. But the other thing that's critical is that you guys in the Peanut Gallery feed me your questions and your comments, which will spur me on to have stuff to talk about. So ask me your questions, make your comments. I will be working my way through the comments in order to get there. Additionally, super chats are accepted on this channel. They go to typically to the dog food fund. I am a dog trainer, and there's lots of dogs around here everywhere. So those will go to the dog food fund. However, unlike other channels, I do not charge to talk to you. I want to talk to you one way or the other. All right, let's take a look and see who is here. Craig Shit says, it's not about the money, it's my passion. And I live by that mantra. Rolex prices go up and down, but I enjoy wearing them. It's my passion. And I'm with you, Craig. I think we should feel the steel. We should wear our watches. And although I talk a lot about, and I can't help but track Rolex prices, I'm not hung up on them. I like the brand, whether the prices are going up or down doesn't make a difference to me. I want more. And in the immortal words of Blue Shirt Buddha, and I have learned the hard way to listen to the man, never sell Rolex. Just don't sell Rolex. Anything you sell, you're either going to miss it or you'll miss the increase in price that you could have had but didn't. At this point, I want to go ahead and do the quick fist watch check. And frankly, guys, I'm not even wearing a Rolex. I'm wearing a Sinn, which is a tool watch, okay? So we're going to get to the point of talking about whether Rolex is a luxury item now and not a tool watch. But this is definitely not a luxury item. This is a tool watch with a touch of luxury. And I say touch of luxury because it's extremely well put together, super well regulated. It has something that a tool watch does not need, which is a display back. Again, the Sinn 104 has a display back and a slightly decorated rotor, gold tone rotor, and but it's just a Solita movement. However, super regulated. So this is one of my this is absolutely one of my most accurate watches for sure. Okay, well, we got a bunch of you in the room now, so let's go ahead and a quick toast to the dearly departed Andy, Blue Shirt Buddha, and anybody else who I missed. Cheers. Sinn 104. If you're just looking for function in a format that will please your eyes and your wrist, I'm not sure there's a better watch. It's got great architecture, tremendously comfortable feel. The worst thing that you can say about it is that the clasp, this portion of it is stamped. However, all the rest of it is milled, and there's 3 micro adjustments. And even though it's a Flieger of sorts, it has a milled out diver's extension. So it's kind of a cross really between a Flieger and a diver. It does have a bezel, but it's a count down, or excuse me, it's a count up rather than a countdown bezel. So it's backwards, but you can use it in the exact same way. And it doesn't, you wouldn't think that it has a ton of lume, but it has a ton of lume. This thing is a glow monster. So, you hit this with your, I want to say AV, but UV. Damn Negroni. You hit this with your UV light for like 2 seconds before you go to bed. And, if you got a big old prostate like mine and you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock in the morning to pee, this will still be glowing. John S., you keep having your $5,000. Val and Grey Moon, fist, not first, but definitely fist. I'm glad that you have joined us. Joe Money says Rebel streamer, and I think you're referring to the fact that El Pontiff Grande, the Minotaur, is probably streaming at this exact same moment. Interesting and fun fact, the Minotaur's live stream channel has 10,000 subscribers, and this channel has over 25,000 subscribers, thanks to you good people. So thank you for being here. I got to say, Archie can be fun from time to time, but, man, it's a lot of the same drama, and I'd rather talk about watches. That's just me. Anthony, hello there from Downers Grove. You are not far from me at all, sir. Never sell Rolex, blue shirt Buddha. Truer words were never spoken. Man, when I think back about the stuff I sold, because I got bored, or I thought, ooh, I can recoup my money now and maybe even make a shekel or two. When I think back on them, oy vey. So, okay, I sold this hurts. I sold a steel bezel Daytona for $8,000. I need a drink now. And they're like 25 grand now. Fellas, in my defense, at the time I did that was market, I mean, but it wasn't that long ago, 5-6 years ago. And then bam, look what's happened now. Which is why I'm so grateful to Jim and John and Brian over at James & Sons in Orland Park for selling me a watch that I pledge. They could, you know what, guys, you can bury me in my Panda Daytona when it comes time. Well, I better not do that, because if the rancher, unless I predecease the rancher, he'll be digging me up, to get it. So probably don't bury me in it. Better give it to my kids. But it's a keeper of a watch, and I feel like getting that one from James & Sons, shameless plug, thank you boys again. That one kind of healed the psychological scar, from having sold the prior one. This is one I'll never sell. And then I sold a Polar Explorer 42 millimeter for $6,500. And the guy I sold it to was sick with worry. It was his first Rolex. He was just so worried that he was going to get killed and not get his money out. And I had to hold his hand and stroke his hair and tell him it's going to be okay, rub his back, hold his hair back while he puked, and tell him it was going to be okay. And that guy is now sitting on my watch that's probably worth $12,000 that I sold him for $6,500. So there's nothing you can sell that probably isn't going to be more later. Yeah. Epi Life, you demand. Thank you, sir. Patricia Tige. Hi, Mark, and hello to you, ma'am. Victor disappeared. I don't know who's Victor. Oh, Victor. Yeah, thankfully, Victor's not dead. He's just gone quiet. I'll tell you who I'm really worried about, guys. This is terrible. I'm worried about Moneypenny. Many of you have asked me, what's happened to Moneypenny? And the answer is, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm afraid. I'm very afraid. I'm afraid that Moneypenny may be in a medically induced coma, chained to a radiator deep in the bowels of Rolex. I'm really worried that he or she has been discovered and outed as a mole, and that they're giving him or her sodium pentothal and extracting all the information they can out of them. So Moneypenny, if you hear me, please contact me forthwith. Mike L., what's up, Goldberg? Thoughts on Saint-Germain? Isn't that a stop on the Paris Metro? That's all I know it for. Monkey C Production. Rolex is definitely a luxury bubble with tool watch vibes. I think you mean bauble, but I do get it. The Rolex bubble is a whole nother issue, and we talked about that last time. ID Guy said it really well yesterday. The new BB Pro was built to be used. Well, you're referring to a Tudor. And honestly, I think all the Tudors are built to be used. If I had a cigarette, I could emulate your avatar there, EpiLife. But at the end of the day, Tudor primarily builds tool watches. I mean, what is a tool watch? It's a watch that has a specific purpose. Sometimes it's just to tell time. Sometimes it's to tell time in extreme conditions. This one, for example, has the day-date function, but essentially it's like a Flieger with very specific timing. It's got needle, syringe hands, and a minute track, so you can read the time to the nth degree of a minute. But it has some special properties which make it resistant to the challenges, not only of magnetism, but high altitude and rapid descent in altitude. It's kind of like a pilot type watch. So it makes it a tool watch. And look, I'm going to blow my own sort of like title out of the water here right now. Is Rolex still a tool watch? Well, the answer is yes. They're over-engineered and they're built to, amazing tool watch specifications by and large. I mean, you got to remember they were the first shock-resistant, water-resistant, dust-resistant watches made. Guys, I'm old, okay? And I remember when I was a kid, you had to take your watch off and put it on the shelf above the sink when you washed your hands. You couldn't wash your hands wearing a regular watch. And the reason is if it got splashed with water, just even splashed, that water was going in. They were not even particularly, and if you dropped the watch, that was it. It wasn't telling any kind of accurate time anymore. And they weren't even especially dust resistant. Sometimes if you just wore them near the shower, the crystals would all fog up. Watches were such delicate creatures before the advent of Rolex. So most of you don't remember this, but because like today, a G-Shock, I mean, for God's sakes, you could practically shoot it with a shotgun, and it's completely fine. So watches today are robust, but Rolex set the gold standard for that. And they still do. However, what has changed on Rolex is the price, the value, the availability, to the point where if we get one, we're naturally inclined to super baby it, So it is in my opinion, it's a tool watch that has transitioned into being a luxury piece of jewelry, and it can still fulfill its function if we would let it, but we're afraid to. I mean, how many people who have a Porsche Panamera, a car, well suited to racing, how many people race it? No, they buff it on, Sundays and, and baby it. So that's what has happened to Rolex. And I think that's as much about the customer as it is about the product itself. My G-Shock is a tool watch. Omega SMP forever. I have a small problem with G-Shocks. I have a small problem. I think I have 5 of them. I mean, I almost never wear them. Why would I wear them? I've got a lot of other watches, but every once in a while, I strap on a G-Shock and pretend that I'm tough. But that is one amazingly built watch. In fact, you know what? Honestly, if somebody in their teens or 20s was asking me, like, what's the first watch? It's a G-Shock. Are you doing any vids on your blue dial Oyster? I'm sure I will. I will have to. I wore it today. Today I cycled through this watch and that one. So those are the 2 watches that I wore today. I really like that bright blue 41 millimeter Oyster Perpetual, the OP. I wore it today for Shellfish Friday because it's an oyster. I like it quite a bit. It took me 6 months on the wait list to get it. Thank you ever so much to Angie over at CD Peacock in Woodfield Mall, Schaumburg, Illinois, for selling me that watch. It was 6 months on the wait list to get it, which was a good minute. But these days, 6 months on a wait list for a Rolex is not, it's not untoward. It's not that big a deal. And it's just such a lovely watch. I think it gains maybe half a second per day. It's just insanely accurate. I like it very much. The visibility or legibility of that watch is extreme. So it's terrific. I like it a whole lot. It has one flaw, which would not even be a flaw to most people. I just happen to be a big baby about lume, and I want to be able to read a watch at night. And that's one of the reasons I like this one so much, because You wouldn't think so because all the indices and hands are a little thin, but the lume is so strong on this. And they talk about the lume on the OP41. They talk a lot about it in their marketing and advertising, but here's the reality. The indices on that watch are heavily lumed and legible all night, but the hands, the hour hand and the minute hand, they're very thin. They're real skinny. They're very elegant. And they have such a tiny little slash of lume that it fades out very quickly. So if you wake up a couple of hours after you've charged it and then you look at that watch, you know where all the indices are. But you don't know where the hands are. So that's my only objection, is it's not a great night watch. And I love me a night watch. Giorgio, hi, Mark, and hello to you, sir. Mike says, Sinn is nice. Indeed, it is. I have this is the 104. I have the 105. You can look that one up. And I'm looking at a little bit of a 103. That might be fun too. Mark, does your love for watches as your watch count increases? I find it more comforting when I limit my collection to a number that I can wear regularly. That's a huge issue, Monkey C Productions. Huge. Oh, does your love for watches wane as your watch count goes up? In other words, the more watches you have, the bigger the collection, the less love you have. And it's not that quite, but the more watches, the more anxiety. That's for sure, because I constantly thinking to myself, what do I want to wear? So I have sort of, because I don't know, man, guys, honestly, I have literally never done a count ever since I started collecting watches or this channel. And I've never done a state of the collection, and I'm never gonna. And the reason is I don't know how many I have, and I don't want to know. But between garbage watches like Phoebos and good watches like Rolex and every tier in between, because I just like watches, I probably have a good 30, you know. So I have them kind of like all put away, and I think of myself as a store. And then once in a while I go watch shopping and I just rotate, put everything away and pick new things. So it's like watch shopping. And I periodically, I call Random Rob and I go, I'm selling everything, help me. And he goes, it's so much work, but okay. And then I can't stand to do it. So Rob, I'll quit bothering you. Mark P with a stupid chat of 9 pounds. Thank you so much, Mark. Hi, Mark. Rarely stupid chat, but happy belated birthday. Negroni time. Keep making the non-drama related content with just a hint of gossip when required. There is that. There's always going to be, guys, I can't help it. I am not one to repeat gossip. So listen carefully. I'm only going to say this one time. Thoughts on the Yacht-Master 40 Rose Gold. Beautiful. Not especially popular. Beautiful. The whole Yacht-Master line is underappreciated, which I think means it should come up on your radar. Never sell Rolex, said Blue Shirt Buddha, especially Steel Sports. What did I have? Oh God, guys, I had a Yacht-Master with a platinum bezel, and I mean that's not a platinum coated bezel. That's a platinum bezel. So the watch is heavy because the entire bezel is, the whole bezel is a chunk of platinum. I bought it from CRM jewelers down in Miami. They were such a pleasure to deal with. And guys, gosh, I think I paid $12 for it. And I don't even know what it sells for now, but I sold it. Why? Just to free up the money. Stupid. I sold one of the most beautiful dials with a platinum bezel. And I'm sure I could get it back, but what does it cost now? Somebody tell me in the comments and I'll find it when I come down. I bet it's at least 16 now, if not more. So, the Yacht-Master is it's a beautiful watch, and if you have a shot at one, you should get it. Sinn is a great brand. Indeed it is. They make a wide range of watches, guys. They make a lot of watches. And they're not all to my taste, but the whole 103, 104, 105, all of those are super cool. The late, great SKX was the ultimate tool watch of its time. True. But, I know they discontinued it, but the whole Seiko Turtle line, it's more expensive than the SKX was. But those are great too. And they have the day date. The old ones don't have the candy bar kind of cyclops. The new ones do, which I like because these eyes are tired, man. So I like anything with a magnified date. But Seiko, I am not a Seikopath in the same way Bruce Williams is, but a little bit. You know, I mean, I like it, and I probably have 5 of them. No, I got more. Maybe I have more than 30 watches, guys. I think that's entirely possible. Jeez. And I'll tell you why, because I have the Seiko Blue Lagoon. That's a turtle. I have the Seiko King Turtle in black. I have the Seiko King Turtle in blue. And then I have 3 Seiko, what do you call them? Seiko Sawtooth, which we'll talk about in 2 seconds. And then I have a Grand Seiko. That's a lot of, I got a lot of Seiko. Maybe I am a Seikopath. I mean, maybe the Seikopath is the kind of person who doesn't even know he's a Seikopath. And that could be me. But I got hooked on buying these Seiko Sawtooth. I made a video about it, and I called it the best dive watch that Seiko ever discontinued. They have a habit of coming out with brilliant watches that become beloved, like the SKX or the Sawtooth, and then discontinuing them for no apparent reason whatsoever. But look up my video on the Seiko Sawtooth. That's just a magnificent diver. It's quartz. It's big, but it's thin, and it wraps around the wrists. And oh my God, they're just incredible. Perfect watches. And by the way, fellas, I mean, I'm a guy who appreciates a complication with the day and the date. I like that. And there are super few, very, very few quartz watches in a diver genre that give you both the day and the date. Very few. And the Seiko Sawtooth is one of those. Flippin' Zippo joining us. Cheers, eh? Clark, mechanical wristwatches are classic men's jewelry and extensions of personality, similar cars or clothing. Well, clothing, no. I mean, honestly, I'm terrible about clothing. I always look like I'm dressed right out of Goodwill, and half the time I might be. You need a phone now to see a menu. Sometimes mechanical is just cooler. You know, I go to this one restaurant where, yeah, you're right. You click and take a picture of the QR code, and it brings up the menu for the day. So you're 100% right. But let me just say, you know, at my particular age, when I was a kid, I remember if you wanted to know something, you went to the library, okay? And now I hold this little device that has the entire body of human knowledge in it. It fits in my shirt pocket, and I can watch porn on it too. So it's a better world today than it ever was. It's amazing. However, I love my mechanical watches. And even the quartz watches of today are a different beast than they used to be. They're stupendously reliable. Thoughts as to the yellow day date with the black onyx dial? I mean, Monkey Seat Production, they don't make a bad day date. There's not a day date that sells for under $40,000 retail and $70,000 aftermarket and more. They're all beautiful. I especially love the interesting dial day dates. Especially love them. So, and the onyx is a mineral, and they do little thin slices of mineral. They do lapis, they do tiger's eye or they have done over the years. Oh my God, the meteorite. Like, do they do a meteorite day date? They do a meteorite GMT and Daytona. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think they do a day date, but they should. Oh my God, that's coming. Why wouldn't they make that? That has to come. Any of the mineral day dates are incredible, just unbelievable. And interestingly, it used to be that the solid gold Rolexes were like the last ones to sell, and you used to get up to like 10, maybe even 12, 14% discount on gold Rolexes because they had a hard time selling them. And the markup was so huge. But now, no. I mean, my AD contacts tell me that gold sells just as fast as steel these days, and they can't keep that stuff in stock. I think people view gold as a metal, as a hedge against inflation, which is certainly a concern now. And I think they view the brand as a hedge against inflation. So if you have a shot at one of those, or you have one, hats off to you. Gorgeous. Roller, Mark, why do you think the sub date sells for more than the SD43 in the gray market. Easy. And I have one of each, but I'm going to tell you why. Because the Submariner, date or no date, it's the iconic classic. It's what you think of when you think Rolex. When you think Rolex, the average person, sub, that'd be the first one that they would name. SD43 is the Sea Dweller, and the Sea Dweller, even when it was the same dimension as the Submariner, which is to say 40 millimeter, even when it was the same dimension, even though sub went up to 41 millimeter, but for decades they were the same dimension. The Submariner was by far more popular. Always has been, always will be. You know, that depends on a lot of factors. So I thought many times about selling my Sea Dweller 43 millimeter anniversary edition with the red line where it says Sea Dweller in red. But I'm entirely, well, first I've got Blue Shirt Buddha in the back of my mind. Gone way too young. Andy Hunter, gone way. These guys were in their 50s. I mean, insane, crazy. On some level, I can't even believe it still. Okay. And the Pontiff, he's going to live forever. You know? Only the good die young, fellas. Only the good die young. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. Oh, but I keep thinking that one of these days they're just going to, maybe 10 years in, they're going to wipe the red off the SD43. Blue Shirt comes to my mind. Never sell Rolex. So I'm convinced if I sell my SD43, that instantly they will wipe the red off of there and it'll quintuple in value. So, but the reason is to just full circle this thing. The reason is that the sub is the icon of the line, and the Sea Dweller has always been another diver. Flippin' Zippo. Okay, a little crosstalk. Good. You guys talking amongst yourselves. Mike, I've been at the beach this week wearing a Doxa sub 200. Seems to be a great tool for the situation. I have one. Chris, like I said, I have a problem. I have a little of everything. I have one. I have the Doxa sub 300 classic orange. And that 200 I have in turquoise. It's a phenomenal watch. That's a $900 watch that wears like a $3,000 watch. Honestly, guys, if you want to know how do I buy a sub $1,000 diver that's like worth every stinking penny, the Doxa 200, and it comes in a multitude of colors. Doxa, not so easy to deal with, but you'll find it on their website. I don't love the company, but oh my God, I love the product. Flippin' Zippo, howdy. Long time no chat. Flower Horn Depot Com. I don't know what that is, but it's funny. Hey, Mark, what do you think about the Rolex 116713 LN Lunette Noir? So that'd be the black bezel. I have one. I just wanted your POV, your point of view on that. I got to look it up. But oh, I know what that is. That's a I'm just sorry, I just got a text. That must be a two-tone Submariner with black bezel, black dial. Phenomenal. I mean, honestly, I'm a little more into the blue. So if you ask me which one between that and the Lunette Blue, the L, gosh, what is that one? The LB? Yeah, Lunette Blue. Between that and the blue, I prefer the blue, but that's totally personal taste. You know, I used to not be into the two-tone watches, but there are a couple that I approve of now that I really like. A two-tone Submariner is great. A two-tone Sky Dweller is not to be sneezed at. That's another thing I sold. I sold my two-tone Sky Dweller for like 14, and they're 25 now. I sold it to David SW. But and he made out on that, you know, but he sold it. He didn't keep it. If he'd have kept it, he'd have made more money that way too. But I mean, it all evens out. I bought a turquoise OP41 from him for cheap-ish. Now it's a lot more. David SW, really good. Listen, guys, the places that I have done business with are Nomon watches. Really had good luck with them. I've done business with Joma Shop, easy peasy production to do business with them. David SW, terrific for buying or selling. CD Peacock in Woodfield Mall. and where I bought my first Rolex and my latest. And then the place that I have done the most business with, and I have what I would think is just like a lovely relationship with, find these guys just so good to deal with, are James and Sons, and they've got 3 locations in and around Illinois and Indiana. But you need relationships in order to make buys, especially for Rolex today. Anyway, yeah, I like the blue a little better, but the black is not to be sneezed at. Predictions on the Rolex Submariner. Well, everybody wonders when they're going to come out with a platinum one. I don't personally think that's coming anytime soon, but I'll tell you what I wonder about more. I guess I don't have a prediction, especially since Moneypenny is in a medically induced coma, chained to a radiator deep in the bowels of Rolex, and I haven't heard from him or her. So Moneypenny, if you're listening, get a hold of me. Mark Goldberg 8@gmail.com. Mark with a C. Get a hold of me. Let me know that you're alive and well. Okay. Predictions, I don't actually have any. I think they're likely to hold on the Submariner because they made radical changes within the last couple of years. But you know that the discontinued 40 millimeter Rolex Hulk, green bezel, green dial, has become the second most expensive steel Rolex in existence. The first, Panda Daytona. I got them both. I don't have what has been now relegated to the third most expensive, which is the Pepsi, the GMT. But I would like one. If you're listening and you sell watches to me, I want a Pepsi. Oh, I didn't finish my thoughts about the two-tone watches, the CHNR, the root beer. I think that's as good as the gold one for like half. So that CHNR, wow, the root beer, just spectacular. Okay. We shall continue on. Oh, the Rolex Submariner. Anyway, final. Is it a prediction? I wonder if they won't bring back the green dial eventually. Now, if you think they won't go back and redo something that they've done before, look at the Batman, people. They reissued the Batgirl, and then they came out with a new Batman. So, which the Batgirl was on a Jubilee, and then they came out with it again on an Oyster. So there is precedent for them going back into their own recent history and reissuing a watch. So I wonder if they might not do that. Hi, Mark. Making memories with my 1655 in Amsterdam on holidays. No one seems to recognize it. Well, good for you. I think that's an Explorer. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's really a good thing because otherwise they'd knock you over the head and drag you into a coffee shop there in Amsterdam and take it. SpeedLife, a super sticker of $5. Thank you ever so much, EpiLife. I appreciate it. Remember, your stupid chats are not required, but they are absolutely appreciated, and they go to the dog food fund. So thank you so much. Louis. I love your avatar, the Pontiff. If you could only have 5 Rolexes, which ones would you choose? Okay. Well, I would definitely have a Submariner, just like a straight up steel sub. And I have 2 in the 40 millimeter version. So, okay. I'm going to answer the question. First, I would have a Hulk. I have one. I would have that. Because that green starburst, oh my God. That dial, amazing. So I'd have the Hulk. I would have the Panda Daytona, which I do have. I would have a platinum day date. I don't have that, sadly. I mean, it's a lot of money. Oh my God, guys. That's like, I can't remember. It's somewhere between $75,000 and $95,000. I mean, that's retail. Secondary prices, I think it's like almost double that. But I would have the platinum day date. I know they used to make it only with the smooth bezel, but I would have it in the fluted bezel because I love me a fluted blingy bezel. That's 3. The day date. Well, what else would I have? Well, that does leave out a GMT. And I've had 2 GMTs over the years. I don't have one now. But I used to have a Batman and I had a black. Sold them both. Sold them both. Blue shirt. Forgive me. I should have listened. Made money on them both. But it's not about the money. It's about the passion. So I would need a GMT, and now I've got to decide between the CHNR, the gold root beer, the full gold root beer, the two-tone root beer, the full gold root beer, or bink, the Sprite, the Green Goblin, the Mistake, the backwards upside down Rolex Mistake, as I like to call it. And that's the one of all of those. Don't get me wrong. The 3 GMTs I mentioned are all unbelievable. And if you're watching this and you want to sell me one, I'll take any one of those. But that backwards upside down GMT, mamma mia. I don't think it's going to see its 3rd or 4th or 5th birthday. I think it's going to be around for 2-3 years and then gone. So I think it's going to be an incredible collector's item. And it's cool. And I love the green on the bottom of the bezel. The 5th one. The 5th one. I've got every category covered, don't I? The 5th one. TBD, man, to be determined. I'm going to reserve my open-ended, my 5th one. I still don't know. I'll come back to you on that one. Your prediction for the Rolex Submariner, it's going to stay the same next year. Right? They're not going to touch that for a little while. I remember your Sky Dweller white-dialed Rollosaur you sold. Would you like to have that? Yes. Yes. Shit. Why did I sell that? You know, I'm like, if I light a candle to anything, it's going to be the Saint blue shirt to say I'm sorry. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, self-flagellation for selling that. I sold Rolex. Oh my God. That was just, I don't know. I don't even know why I did. I just thought I would free up some money. Insanity. Goldberg, the rancher, North America's favorite same-sex couple, and Hisham were the peak of AC3's channel. Oh, so you're talking about the Cardinals. Then comes Stickergate and Less Than Nothing. It's all gone pear-shaped since then. I don't know. Honestly, yes, we had a falling out with Archie over stupid stuff that I don't even really care to bring up anymore. But I miss him sometimes. But you can't go backwards, and I don't watch anymore because he's just chewed up and gone through so many people. I can't handle it. Mark, why do you think the sub date sells for more than the SD? Well, I told you people this. The reason is that the sub is the icon of the line and the Sea Dweller is the redheaded stepchild. Hold on. Maybe my speech will get better if I drink more. Because the Submariner is the icon of the line and the Sea Dweller, as good a watch as it is. And I have one, that SD43. It is the redheaded stepchild of the diver portion of the Rolex market. That's why. What are you drinking? Well, Bobby Alexander, thank you for joining us. This is a Negroni. I should give you people the recipe. Take notes. It's very complicated. 1 shot Campari. 1 shot sweet vermouth. Has to say sweet vermouth. If it just says vermouth, it's not the right stuff. 1 shot Campari, 1 shot sweet vermouth, 1 shot your gin of choice. Bombay Sapphire will do very, very nicely. Hendrix, any nice gin, and mix them together gently. Squeeze an orange slice, drop it in, and there you have it. That is an Italian cocktail called the Negroni. It's well over 100 years old. It's aromatic because, of course, gin is an aromatic, which is made of juniper and berries and all sorts of herbal things. That's gin, distilled from those things. And then Campari is a bitter and a digestif. So it is an aromatic, bitter, sweet drink. It covers every range of the palate. You have to have a sophisticated palate to enjoy a Negroni, guys. I mean, I know a little bit, it looks like Kool-Aid, but this is for the sophisticated palate. Your first one is going to taste to you like cough syrup. Your second one is going to go down pretty well. Your third one is going to have you utterly convinced. I was never much of a drinker, and I don't want to say I'm a drinker now because what do I have, a cocktail a day? Maybe A lot of days I don't have even one. And then a day like today, maybe I'll have two, but that's it. So not much of a drinker. But I never discovered my cocktail until I was into my 60s. And then when I found it, the penny dropped. And it was the Negroni, gentlemen, the Negroni. So I urge you to try it. Random Rob. Well, hello there, Random Rob. We have been talking about you. And I said only complimentary and wonderful things. Random Rob is a great guy, tremendous channel. And one of the things I most like about Random Rob's channel is he covers watches from the sublime to the ridiculous. And by that, what I mean is I've watched Random Rob cover $25 watches and wanted them. So you should look at his channel. Terrific. Really great. Thank you for joining us. And I love his channel too. Val and Grayman, tool watch or not, I would not be taking a multi-$1,000 watch diving. Val, and nobody goes diving. I mean, honestly, I've dived 3 times on a resort, 3-4 times. Oh my God, I loved it. I hope that someday I can dive again. Go to a resort, go down. There's like, you can take a resort certification and go down to like 50 feet. It's incredible. I mean, oh my God, like I really want to go again. And yeah, I would wear pretty much any one of my watches. But the reality is that these were professional tool watches originally developed for professional people. I mean, the Sea Dweller was developed for like people who arc welded, on oil rigs under the ocean. And that's like, nobody does that anymore. And anybody who dives needs a dive computer. So when I did dive, those few times that I did, amazing, just incredible. I really want to go again. In the Philippines, guys, I want to see thresher sharks in the Philippines so bad. I promise, before I'm washed up, I'm doing it. But anyway, when I dive, I don't even remember wearing a watch. I do remember wearing a dive computer so you could track, everything that was happening. Those are way more reliable. So, a dive watch is really more about nostalgia. And today, it's really about having a robust waterproof watch. So, which reminds me that I do like to push the 40 millimeter sub as the sweet spot right now on the used market. And I'm talking about just the last iteration. What is it? The 116610LN. That is the one to get, guys. I've been begging you people to buy it since it was like $10,000, $12,000. And I think it's up to like 13, 14. But as Rolex is pulling back prices a little bit, the market is kind of like dipping just the littlest bit. It's just a correction, fellas. The bubble, there's no bubble. It's not bursting. But just like stock market or any kind of investment, you have your ups, you have your peaks, you have your dips. We're in a little bit of a Rolex dip right now. And so it's a good time to buy that, not the current iteration, the previous iteration of the Rolex Submariner. You won't be sorry if you did. It's the classic iconic watch. You can get it on Chrono or wherever. Just make sure you get box and papers example, nice example, unpolished. What's the resale? Just what we were talking about. What's the resale value of a used 40 millimeter Rolex ceramic bezel black? Well, I can tell you this. I bought my last one, I don't know, 2-3 years ago for $8,500, box and papers from a bricks and mortar store who sold it to me through eBay. Authenticated, beautiful piece, really nice. The only thing is it had been lightly polished. So is it perfect example? No, it's lightly polished. And so what could I sell it for? Box and papers. Depends on who I'm selling to. So if I'm selling to you, I could probably sell it for 12. If I'm selling it to David SW, 9. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure. You'd have to ask him and the people like him. But remember, if you're selling to the gray marketeer, they have to refurbish that watch a little bit, check it out, make sure it's fit for sale. They have to sell it on to their customer. They need to make a margin on that watch, 20%, 25%. They need to make a markup. And they deserve that markup because, guys, they're going to stand behind that watch. And they're going to say, hey, if that thing breaks anytime in the next 3 years due to something that's not your fault, we got you. So it depends on who you're going to sell it to, Do you think the root beer GMT will be discontinued soon? Money Penny, where are you? I need you. Come back. Contact me. But let me know what you need, Moneypenny, to come back. But the answer is no. I don't have as good information as I used to, but I don't. I think that's a really popular model. I love that watch. I really would love to have one. In fact, if I was offered the upside down backwards GMT and the root beer, I would be like, I'm not constipated. I'm just trying to decide between the two. And I think I would take the upside down backwards GMT, the green one, because I don't expect that to live. I don't think that's going to have a long shelf life, but I think the root beer will. But it's on my list. It's a beautiful piece. Oh my God, what a gorgeous, that warm pink gold with that warm chocolate root beer bezel. If there's a more beautiful watch, I don't know. It's gorgeous. Brand 700. I own a couple of Daytonas and GMTs, including a Panda and a BLRO. Well, the Panda we know, and the BLRO, that's a Batman. What is my favorite everyday watch? A PAM 1209 submersible. I don't get it, Mark. Well, here I do. I understand, brand. And the reason is I own, equivalent watches to what you do. And I don't wear them, the Rolexes anyway, and I don't wear them every day either. And the reason is that PAM gives you the satisfaction of a chunky luxury brand wrist presence watch without the worry that you're going to scratch it, because if you drop it or you scratch it, you're not going to worry about it. That's why. So I completely understand you. Crosstalk is a good thing. A state of the collection is voyeurism. Well, maybe, but I think most people at a certain point, Jenny L and, all the cool kids do it, but I just can't bring myself. I can't bring myself to do it. I don't want to know how many watches I own. I don't want to know how much money I have foolishly tied up in man toys, I don't even want to know. There's always a risk when diving. Well, true, but there's probably a bigger risk that you're going to die than you're going to lose your watch, to be honest. Although, I don't know, we should talk to Matt, my friend and your friend, Matt Stevens, Matt Stevens, who lost an Omega in a tidal wave. It's just like, the spring bars that are holding these things together are not especially secure. And Matt got hit by a wave that just like tore the Omega SMP right off his wrist. So Matt, if you're watching, that's what happened. And since then, when he's gone in the water, I'm pretty sure he's put on a NATO. Now, I don't like a NATO, but remember, a NATO is like if you lose a spring bar on this watch, on a bracelet like this, you're going to lose the entire watch. If you lose a spring bar on a NATO, a double pass NATO, you will be keeping your $5,000. It could come off smacked against something or anything. Yes, that's true. And that's what happened to Matt. Do you own a Lange & Son? The titanium Odysseus is incredible. Man, even the steel Odysseus is wonderful. I've loved it since they came out with it. The answer is I do not own any Lange & Son. I own 2 German watches, and both of them are a Zinner. I am a Zinner, not a Zaint. But a lot of people ask me, why don't I get a Lange or a Patek, both of which theoretically have more horology than a Rolex. And the answer is, I don't know. I guess because Rolex to me is the it brand, because it's the perfect combination of luxury, exclusivity, horology, and robustness. Those things are all in alignment for me on that brand. The Rolex Yacht-Master with the platinum dial red secondhand is going for about $9,000 to $10,000. That's the old one, the older one. I had a newer one than that. The Tudor Pelagos is a tool watch. I have one. I love it. It's beautiful. It's amazing for loom. It has like a crazy clasp that self-adjusts. So honestly, that's a really good point. This, I think, is the best watch under $2,000, the Sinn 104. The best watch under, for my taste anyway, the best watch under $1,000 would be the Doxa Sub 200 that we talked about a little bit earlier. And the best watch under $4,000 on the used market, at least that I can think of, would be exactly this, the Tudor Pelagos. I have the blue one. It's phenomenal. And talk about lume. Oh my God. It's just like, it'll burn your eyes out. Luxury, pure luxury is Rolex. I mean, it's robust. It's luxury with a robust edge. And that's what I especially like. Psychopath. Do you have a problem? I have a problem. Bobby, if you didn't have a problem, you wouldn't be here right now, buddy. So we all have a problem, which is why we are here. Oh my God, Val and you and I, we might think a little bit alike. Rolex was a great tool watch. At today's prices, it has become pure luxury. And I don't disagree with that. I mean, it's just luxury with a robust edge. Guys, even the day date, which has the president, as it's so called, which has always and only been made out of precious metal, is still more robust than the Timex I owned when I was like a little kid, because you can wash your hands with it. You can go in the pool with it. These watches are better today than they ever were. Daytona, too small to read. You inspired me to come out of the closet in a minute. It cost me $15K, but I couldn't read the damn thing. Craig, I'm sorry that you sold it for 15, or that you bought it, and you're not happy with it. But let me tell you this. I think of the Daytona not so much as a watch, but as a piece, but as a Rolex bracelet, okay? Which, if you squint at it hard enough, will sort of kind of tell you the time if it's still daylight hours. And that's the Rolex Daytona, all right? The reality of it is don't think of it as a watch. Think of it as a bracelet that you can theoretically buy for $14,000 and sell for $50,000. It's an insane differential between the buy and sell on that watch. But I think you should think about it a little bit more as a bracelet, which when squinted at repeatedly will tell you a semblance of the time. So I don't think you should really worry about telling time on a Daytona. That's for the kids, but they can't afford it. This is, on the list for a Yacht-Master with the slate dial. Beautiful. I think they call it rhodium, but yeah, I'm with you. Apparently Shonuff says they make a meteorite day date. That would be like the ultimate. You should have told me if they make it in platinum or is it in gold, but I don't care. I would buy, here's my one across the board blanket statement about Rolex that I can make with full confidence. There's not too many, but my one blanket statement with Rolex that holds absolutely true, other than don't sell Rolex, is I would buy any Rolex and a meteorite dial. I don't care what the model is. I will buy any Rolex and a meteorite dial because they only put that in super special watches. Beautiful, beautiful pieces. People who treat Rolex as a real tool watch have more money than brains. Well, money is a very relative thing. I mean, how many of you have been watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial and have gotten like a slightly different perspective on money, right? From that. He owns like 4 or 5 penthouses in one building. He owns an island in the Bahamas. Like, I mean, I know he's had his troubles, don't get me wrong. We're just talking about the financial aspect here, but money is a relative thing, right? So depending on the amount of money you have, wandering around guys, I tell people this is only a $1,500 watch because in my mind, I have a, Panda that's worth like 50, right? But this is only a $1,500 watch. But if you say only a $1,500 watch to like a normal person, it's offensive. Only $1,500 is an insane amount of money to spend on a watch. Money is an entirely relative point of view. So you have to be respectful of all price ranges. And this is one of the reasons I love Random Rob's channel, because if you got $25 to spend on a watch, he's going to tell you what watch to spend on your $25 on. And by the way, it's a Casio. I mean, they make with a 10-year battery. I love mine. $25. This is the most amazing watch for $25. Craig Shit says, I love my SD43, my Sea Dweller 43 millimeter with the red lines 50th anniversary. It's a chunky monkey, but I can handle it. I'm amazed that it became the dog of the race. It didn't become the dog. I have one, Okay, so take it from me, a fellow lover of that specific watch. It did not become the dog of the range. It was born the dog of the range. It was born the redheaded, it was born the redheaded stepchild. Sea Dweller was never was never invited to the prom. It was always Cinderella. Submariner got invited to the prom and got the glass slipper, while Sea Dweller always got the whip. That has always been the way it is. That being said, you should rest easy, secure in the knowledge that your Sea Dweller can do things that the Submariner can't do. Can go deeper, can handle helium. Gold is just as popular. AD told me to give him a year's notice when I'm ready to pull the trigger. That's right. Gold is no longer easy to get. Mark, how much do you need to spend before you get your stainless steel Daytona from the AD? Cheers. Cheers, squares. Who's texting me? Okay, so I don't know, man. That is a understandable question, but honestly, I don't really know how to answer it. I'll tell you why. Anytime I post a video which says it's impossible to get Rolex, 10 guys post up in the comments, I just walked in and asked for one, and they sold it to me. You know, now probably not 10 guys on a Panda, but nonetheless, a lot of guys. So I feel like some people, some ADs just sell to the first guy, they get one, and then the first guy who walks in and asks for it, they sell too. So for some people, it's a little bit like finding the golden ticket in their chocolate bar, and they've been invited to, Willy Wonka land. But for other people, they sort of have to buy their way into the relationship. And so it runs the gamut from luck of the draw, just happens to be a fluke, all the way up to maybe $60, $70, $80, $100,000. So it's such a wide range that I don't think it's a predictable thing. Which means, by the way, I think you're almost better off buying it on the gray market unless you have a great AD relationship. Mark, would you keep an Explorer 36 millimeter from 2008? Carlo, I would like to quote to you the immortal words of Blue Shirt Buddha: never sell Rolex. Never sell Rolex. Never sell Rolex. Don't sell it. Don't. You know what? It's in that, your watch is in that awkward phase right now where you've had it long enough to get bored with it, plus which it's not old enough to be vintage. It's old enough to be old, but not quite vintagey, right? Just trust me on this thing. Don't sell it. No, I would. Yes, I would keep it. I would never sell it. What watch, in your opinion, is undervalued? And that's a really super broad question. I mean, I think if we're going to talk in the Rolex range, it would be the 40 millimeter. In modern Rolex, the 40 millimeter Submariner, black ceramic bezel. And if we were talking about more vintage, the 14060 with or without the M. I think those are a little undervalued at this time. Stupid chat, Mark McLaughlin, $5. Mark, your advice allowed me to finally start getting from the AD. Thank you so much. Sent the wire for the Meteorite GMT. Thoughts on this watch? Oh my Lord. Well, first of all, congratulations. Thank you for the super chat. Man, I don't know what I told you so that you could go buy a Meteorite GMT. Let me just say, you need to email me at markgoldberg8, with Mark with a C, markgoldberg8@gmail.com, and tell me the story on that one, fella, because I don't have that particular watch. And as I said a little earlier in this broadcast, if I was to make one blanket statement about Rolex, it would be I would buy any meteorite dial Rolex, period, because they only put it in super special watches. So it might be a little hard. The contrast on that watch, it's a little mildly hard to read, but oh my God, what an incredible watch. Wow. So first off, congratulations. My thoughts on that watch, holy crap. Oh my God. You're never going to see another one in the wild. Let me just say, be careful where you wear that watch, number one. But number two, you wear a sub out and about, you'll see one. You wear a Daytona out and about, eventually you'll see one. You'll sit on a plane with somebody, you'll see a Daytona. A meteorite GMT, you're going to be the only kid on your block. You're going to be the only kid. You're never going to run into a guy wearing the same watch. So congratulations to you. That's just freaking incredible. Wow. If you had the choice, bluesy or a root beer from the AD? By the way, I don't know if you know this, but in your Negroni, you're just theoretically supposed to put like an orange peel with a twist. But I actually recommend an orange slice, which you can see I have folded, spindled, and mutilated. I recommend, because when you squeeze just the littlest bit, like maybe a teaspoon of orange juice into your Negroni, it cuts a little of the bitter, but it doesn't take away from the aromatic. And it doesn't overpower the sweet. So I'm just telling you, for my palate, teaspoon of OJ, but you can accomplish that with a squeezed slice as opposed to a peel. Just my opinion. Oh, and when drinking an old fashioned, the only cherry that will do is a Luxardo, splash of simple syrup, and maybe again about a teaspoon of cherry juice from Luxardo. $30 or something ridiculous for a jar of Luxardo cherries, but like, holy crap, they're really good. Okay, I've been stalling because I almost don't want to answer this. These are really this is a difficult question. Bluesy, which I just tried on at CD Peacock in the 41 millimeter version, incredible dial. Or the root beer. Me personally, I would have to go with the root beer, and I'll tell you why. Because I have the full gold blue dial, blue bezel, LV, 40 millimeter Submariner blue. I mean, so I have a blue dial already in a full gold. It's just in the 40 millimeter version. And so for me, it would be the root beer, but tough call. If you don't have a blue dial already, then man, I would say the first one that was offered to you. Blue Shirt Buddha made the bluesy cool again. Rest in peace, Blue Shirt Buddha. What a superb, listen, there's a lot of characters in the YouTube universe. A lot of characters, of which, naturally I am one. Blue Shirt was just not a character. He was just genuine, just a sweet man. Sad, very sad. I do miss him. Two-tone root beer is the best two-tone. Again, show enough. That's kind of like what I would call a personal decision, but I can't quite argue with it. The slate gray Surdy, well, they don't make them anymore, but they're, I feel like those are going to get ever more collectible. What's your thoughts on the new Longines Zulu green bezel? Don't know it. I'll take a look for you, though. eBay keeps like 12. Yeah, eBay is a problem. eBay is a bitch to sell through because they keep eBay keeps 10% and then you receive PayPal and they deduct 3%. So call it 13. It's tough. Don't love it. Will you be at the Chicago Watch Fair in July? I think I got invited, but probably not. I'm not that friendly. I'm socially awkward, people. I mean, I would go if Bruce Williams said, I'm coming in, go with me, I don't know. If I had somebody's hand to hold, I probably would go, but otherwise, no. AD mentioned a new Kermit the other day, as in if I'd be interested if one happens to come in. So we don't call it the new Kermit. I think we call it the Sermit or the Starbucks. Would I take one of those if I were you? Oh, yes. Yes, I would. I would not argue. I think it's a super cool watch. I mean, I have a Hulk, so I feel like the Hulk is a little more extreme than the Sermit, but if you don't have anything in that vein and you're offered a Sermit, don't be like the Rancher. Take it. Well, The best blue dial watch, in your opinion? First off, Rolex, and only Rolex. I mean, I love me a Rolex. You know why? Because it's Rolex. I mean, dude, it's like, you can go anywhere. You can find some tribe in a cave and ask them, best watch, Rolex. So for me, the full gold Submariner, that'd be the one. Oh my God, beautiful. Look at my video on there. Okay, let's see what else. Lots of crosstalk. Is there a niche market for vintage corporate logo watches worth exploring? Well, I guess. Yeah, I think so. Not fully my area, but as an example, there's a bunch of day dates or some day dates with the Domino's. Just as one example, with the Domino's logo on there. It's been a while since Rolex, I think, has been willing to slap your corporate logo on a watch, but in prior years they did it. I don't think they do it anymore. It goes back even to the Sea Dweller when they slapped Comex on some of the Sea Dweller dials for the Comex arc welding diving company that works on, I think they still do. It's a French company that works on oil rigs, like, 500 meters under the water, under the surface. And those watches, that Comex Sea Dweller is like stupendously expensive. I've over and over and over again, I've turned down. I haven't wanted anything to do with the dominant. I mean, who wants a pizza logo on your Rolex? However, recently they have become collectible. So the answer is yes, those are starting to become collectible. Somebody says Winn-Dixie. David Kess says Winn-Dixie is another one on a diver's watch. Okay. I'm personally not in, I don't want it, but the market says getting collectible, getting interesting, especially the Domino's one. Mark P, wearing my Pepsi tonight, bought it in 2020 for my AD. I can genuinely say I didn't ask for it. They thought I would like it. Some ADs do look after you, and that's true. When you form, guys, here's the thing. Forming a relationship with an AD today who you have never bought from can be challenging. If you have bought from the AD previously, the easiest way, I think, to keep that relationship going is to just stay in touch and periodically drop in there wearing a watch that, this is a Sinn, but wearing a Rolex that you have bought from them previously. As an example, I bought my first Rolex in 1987 from an AD. And I have never, not even once, sold an AD purchased watch. You've heard me talk about selling Rolex before, but those are Rolexes that I bought from the gray market and then sold back into the gray market. But a watch I bought from the AD, I have never sold, not even once in like 30 years. And you want to let them know that's the kind of customer you are. If you've never formed that relationship before, well, your job now is to convince them I'm safe to sell to, because I am a lover of watches. I am a buyer of watches. I'm not a seller of watches. See, if you want to walk in and buy, let's say, a Starbucks, I don't know what that costs, like maybe $12,000, say. So you go in and you want to spend 12, but you could walk across the street right after you didn't have to unwrap it, and you could go sell it for, 20 to a guy who's going to then resell it for 25. So when the AD is selling you a Rolex these days, they're giving you the Rolex and they're slipping into the box a check, and they're just asking you, please don't cash it. It's there. This is a check for $10,000, $20,000, but just don't cash it. They have to trust that you're not going to cash it. So your job is to convince them that you're a likable person who's not going to cash that check, and that just irritates the crap out of a lot of guys, because they view it as sucking up. But if you can stand to do it, all you're really doing is, I don't personally view it as sucking up. I view it as forming a genuine relationship with somebody who's in business to sell watches, but now they have to be ever more careful who they sell that watch to. So help them, make their job easier. Sky Dweller with a meteorite dial. I would buy that in an absolute heartbeat. And I would, I'd love to see that in white gold. That'd be amazing. Is the GMT Master? Yes. Should I get a sub-date 40 or the new 41? The 40, because you could buy it for a fraction of the price. Absolutely, get the 40. That's the sweet spot right now. And in fact, with a slight retrenchment, if you really, really search, maybe you can get it for 12 or 13. So absolutely, the 40. And it's the same freaking watch. I mean, there's the differences are noticeable if you're like a maniac, but trust me, I have one and I've tried on the 41 and you will not be unhappy with the 40. Flippin' Zippo, another drink in memory of Blue Shirt Buddha. Well, we killed that. That's a dead soldier, but it was my second of the evening and I'm not too much of a drinker, so I'm afraid that's going to have to do. But Blue Shirt Buddha and Andy, welcome to the program, Adrikos. It's a fool's watch, not a tool watch. Yeah, there's some people who feel that way, especially people who don't have them or who want to get another one and can't. And I don't blame you. I mean, Eagles, I don't blame you for that opinion. It's become irritating to try and buy a Rolex. Been with you for years, could never stand a loud mouth. I'm not sure what you mean, but thank you for being with me. I think Rolex increased production. I picked up my first sub with no purchase history after waiting only 3 months and got a call yesterday from the same AD for a Sea Dweller. That's fantastic. I'm not sure if they've increased overall production or if they're just shipping more frequently. ADs have told me that they're at the beginning of the year anyway, that Rolex was shipping more frequently. Rather than once a month, they were shipping twice a month. So it's possible. And it's good news. It's good news. But let me just say, the sub is the harder watch to get than the Sea Dweller. I like me a Sea Dweller. Don't get me wrong. Whether it's the 43 millimeter Sea Dweller or the 44 millimeter Deep Sea, I have them both. I have every size of dive watch that Rolex makes. But weirdly, the Rolex Submariner is the hardest one to get. And you got that first. Pure luxury. I agree. You can stay on my lot on Samal Island. Okay, thank you, sir. Any difference of a family-owned versus a corporate-owned, managed by a professional? You know, I think so. I do. Now, I have purchased from both as an example, but I would say that the average person, this is a blanket statement, so you got to take it for what it's worth. There is no blanket statement that's going to be 100%, but I think you'll have a slightly easier time of it with a family-owned. I think so. You know, because there are fewer layers of management in a family-owned business. Not that there's none, but there are fewer. Traveling internationally soon, and I want to know the best way to get something from an AD when I'm not local. Okay, so this depends. If you're going to, let's say you're going on a cruise and you're stopping in the Grand Caymans, well, those ADs are very used to selling to people coming in who are not in their current market. However, let's additionally assume that you got business in Oklahoma City and you're going to have lunch with the rancher and stop into his AD. You're going to have a harder time there because they don't know you. So I would say your chances are reasonable if there's stock in place in a touristic spot, but because inventory is kind of low, I think your chances in general are going to be far better at your local guy or guys. Let's just put it like that. If you want to test your watch for durability, hand it to Doc BBW for dropping on the sidewalk. Honestly, Doc BBW has a much better track record than Vintinier, because Jin will drop a watch in a second. Every time I have dinner with Jin and I hand him a watch, I hold my breath. And I also hope he hasn't been pre-gaming, and I hope he won't order the fish. And Jin, you know why. They should make an Omega S&P 500. It would sound like, I don't know. I don't get it, but I have their 300. I have their black 300 and their white one. Rolex. Oh my Lord, a luxury watch with roots and quality and tool watch basis. Absolutely. Other than the caps, I agree with that 100%. Is a Sky Dweller blue dial worth buying? Dude, that's like asking, is it worth buying gold at a $900 an ounce? Yes, of course. I mean, actually, the Sky Dweller, I would love to have that watch, and specifically on a Jubilee dial or on a Jubilee bracelet, but you bet I would love that. Is it worth buying? Of course it's worth buying. Listen, the Sky Dweller has over 400 moving parts, multiple patents, and is the highest horology watch made by Rolex. It's a great watch. Guys, we've been at it for an hour 15. I'm going to cut us off pretty soon. There's over 100 of you in the room. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm going to plow through a few more, but we're going to wrap it up kind of soon. I have the all gold root beer, says Roller. Wow. My hat's off to you, sir. That's magnificent. I never wear it. I don't blame you. It's soft. You could scratch it. You could get robbed. It's so beautiful. Honestly, I'm scared to scratch it. My all gold Submariner, I have slip covers. I have the plastic. If you go to esquirelife.com for $50, you can buy some stickers that you soak in water. Just use some plastic tweezers to place on all the places that they give you and you can protect that watch. And you won't even see it unless you're like this with the watch. Then you'll see it. And then you'll be able to wear it more. So you won't scratch it, but you still have the concern of dinging like gonk on a door or getting robbed. But I heartily recommend protecting it with stickers, because you spent 40 grand and now you have a watch that you're afraid to wear and try. I get it, because I have the Submariner version of that, but that's a magnificent piece. I don't care if people want to mock me for putting slip covers on my watch. You don't own one. And if you did, you'd understand. With those gold Rolexes, just what I found is that just the sweater moving like this on the watch would create hairline scratches on the polished center links, right in the middle. So I'm all for the slip covers, The best tool watch under $2 grand is a Fortis Marine Master with the day date display. All right. I'm not fully in agreement with you, but okay. There's room for disagreement here at that range. I have a good AD history, and should my next watch be the Rolex Left or the Blue Sky? Any recommendations? We love you. Well, thank you, Q. Well, toughie. Because both of these are impossible. Okay, let's just say, if you can buy either one of those from your AD, take the first one that comes in, because they're both absolutely impossible. If you want to know which one I think long-term, like right now, the Blue Sky Dweller, I don't know, man. It's like asking, left or right. They're impossible. Take either one that you can get. I would take either one of those. Oh my God. The big question is, okay, project ahead 10 years. I think there will be fewer of the upside down backwards left-handed GMT, and more of the Blue Sky Dwellers. But at the exact moment that we are right here, right now, take either one of them. Take either one of them that you can get. Thoughts on the new green, yellow with green day date, 41 millimeters yellow. I think it's 40 millimeter, not 41. But oh my God, give me that watch, please. Platinum. Yes, better yet. Well, guys, I think I'm going to call it here. We're at about an hour, almost an hour and 20 minutes. I want to thank you so much for having been here with me. This has been a great discussion about Rolex, whether it's a tool watch or whether it's a luxury bauble. In my opinion, it's both at the same exact time, as well as what's happening in your world, in your opinion, with watches and Rolex prices. Do me an enormous favor and hit the like on this, because it'll help me a lot if a bunch of you throw a like on this video. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscription button now so we can do this again soon. I will see you again and soon in the next one. Goldberg, peace out.